All right, we're live. Hi, guys. Welcome, everyone. I'll give you guys a few moments to hop on in. I see some familiar faces. Happy Wednesday. It's a new month. Happy new month. Welcome, guys. So today, we're going to talk about some of the recent happenings in the world, the wonderful world of Canadian immigration. For those of you who are just joining or new to following us, I am Kay Wilson, and I am the Hi, Mrs. Noel. I am the lead consultant here with Northern Connections Canada Immigration. We are located in Regina, Saskatchewan, in Canada. And from here, we serve clients in a number of different countries. All right. So today I'm going to start with. I'm good. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, so today I'm going to start with the recent announcement. Some of you may have heard of it. We did touch on it before, and this is pertaining to international graduates or international students. Some of you may know that studying in Canada provides a pathway to permanent residence, and some people may choose to come to Canada via that means, right? And so there was a provision that was made as a result of COVID-19. So just a little bit of background. So typically, when you're looking to study in Canada, for you to get credit for having Canadian studies and for working in Canada and so on, and for studying in Canada to actually work for you, you have to physically study in Canada. So an online course will not be beneficial generally, right? But as a result of COVID, what they did was to make an exception. So they allowed students, international graduates, and when I say students, I mean anyone who would be studying in Canada. So that can be somebody who is doing high school or somebody who is studying at the post-secondary level. So maybe you're doing undergraduate studies or you're doing a master's, you're doing a PhD. They all would fall into this category. Generally, though, most people who are looking to study would be those who are doing maybe undergraduate or postgraduate. So what they have done is they made an exception as a result of COVID-19. And so they allowed students or international graduates to start their programs from in their home country online, right? And you would still get the credit for the post-graduation work permit, which would be the work permit that you would not all students will be eligible. That's another story, but this is the work permit. Given that you have met the requirements and your program meets the requirements, then you could apply for what's called a post-graduation work permit. So they have allowed students to study online from at home, so in their home country, and still be eligible for the post-grad work permit. So again, this is not normally the case. You normally have to physically study in Canada. And so this exemption was made back in 2020, and they had extended it up until December 31st of this year. Now, the government recently announced last week that they are now extending this. So now you can count the time that you study online from March 2020, remember that's when it was originally issued, up until August 31st, 2020. So basically there will be some students who would do their entire program online and then complete. So you can complete up to 100%. Those who are eligible, of course, because if your program doesn't fall within this timeline, then of course you may start, but you may not get to finish 100% online. And it will depend on what happened, right? This situation with COVID is very fluid. It changes so often. And so there's a possibility that this may be extended, right? So for right now, it goes up until August 31st. So that's actually great news for those who may want to start online at home, and it provides a lot more flexibility, and especially in terms of managing your costs and so on. So that's actually a really good thing. All right, so you can complete up to 100% of your program online and still be eligible for a postgrad work permit. Amazing, right? All right, so that's the first thing. And so those who are looking to study, if you have ever considered this option, definitely make that move. this will definitely work in your favor. Some people may have even started their studies even before being granted the study permit, because of course you have to still apply for your study permit. So there are some who may have started even before being granted. The main requirement where that's concerned, though, is you must apply for the study permit before starting the program, right? So don't start the program and not apply for the study permit. All right. And then somebody's asking about 1-year program, if it's too risky. If you want my take on a 1-year program, pursuing a 1-year program of studies, then you probably need to go watch our webinar replay. The link is in the bio if you're watching. I see the question is on Instagram. So the link is in our bio to the webinar replay. I did give my thoughts on that and what strategy I think might work for some people, and what I have personally used for clients, and what some of my clients are doing, because some of them actually shared during their webinar. So if you missed that, go and check that out, and you will see some guidance on that. Nancy Stacy is asking, what's the cost to help with a study permit? So for study permit and for most applications, I can tell you I generally don't work with a client unless I have an opportunity to do a consultation. So I always start off with a consultation, and that helps me to really understand what's happening. And if you check all the boxes, you're meeting all the eligibility requirements, and you stand a good chance. Because I generally do not say, okay, I'll just take on a case, and I don't know what your chances are, right? I want you to be set up for success. I want you to have the best chance of being successful with your application. And so as a result, I typically start off with a consultation. And so I can at least guide you in your preparation, and then we can take it from there with applying. So that's usually what happens first. So you'll never see me provide a quote or anything without first having that conversation, having that consultation, see what's happening, make sure that you're eligible, you're doing the right thing, and then we apply, right? So that's how we work. So if you're interested in that, you can schedule a consultation. The link as well is on the bio on Instagram, or you can go on our website at nccanadaimmigration.com. So the next thing I'm going to touch on, which we've been getting a lot of questions on, is the Saskatchewan pilot. All right, so Saskatchewan announced on November 25th a pilot program, which is a hard-to-fill skills pilot program. All right, and the reasoning behind this pilot, as you guys know, I am based in Saskatchewan, so I do some recruitment here for employers in Saskatchewan. Okay, I'll get to the questions after. So this pilot was launched as a means to ease the labor demand in some key sectors. So basically what's happening here, and I can tell you what's happening on the ground here, there are jobs, right? But the employers are having a very difficult time finding workers to fill the needs that they have, the shortages. And of course, I'm sure they're getting probably tons of applications from candidates who are outside of Canada. But in a lot of cases, they are not familiar with, the rules surrounding hiring from overseas, or some of them may very well not be willing. But for the most part, most employers, if they're not exposed to immigration or have an HR person that is knowledgeable about the immigration laws and procedures for hiring overseas, most likely they probably won't, because it's just that lack of knowledge, even though they need the workers. So what the province, the government of Saskatchewan is doing is to launch this pilot program. So it's a pilot program. They're going to launch it to see what happens and how it helps to address these shortages. Of course, with most pilots, when they launch them, if they do really well, they sometimes will make them into a permanent program, right? So right now, the sectors in Saskatchewan that they have noted in their backgrounder that has a very high labor demand right now is healthcare, of course, which in most provinces, that's a big thing right now. Manufacturing, agriculture, AG tech, and construction, as well as hospitality and retail. Definitely retail here for sure, and you'll find a lot of service-based businesses in Saskatchewan will need workers. Agriculture for sure, they're always looking for, especially so with agriculture, a lot of the jobs are going to be seasonal, like farm workers and stuff like that. So the plan is that this pilot is scheduled to be launched in December, so sometime this month. So just stay tuned. Once the updates are released, we'll definitely let you guys know what's happening. So it's scheduled to be launched December 2021, and they have not provided a lot of information about how it will work, but they did provide a brief eligibility. So for candidates to be eligible under the pilot, they must have full-time employment. It has to be a permanent offer of employment, right, from a Saskatchewan employer, and that employer must have what they call a job approval letter. So the job approval letter is a letter that's issued by the government of Saskatchewan to the employer, right? So once the employer makes a submission saying, hey, we want to hire people for this position, so they generally have to get the position approved by the province. And then once the position is approved, they can add the candidate's name to the position, and that's submitted also to the province. And then following that, Saskatchewan government will issue what's called a job approval letter, right? So that's what happens right now with the job offer streams. I've had a lot of candidates who have gone through that stream. And the occupation, of course, it must be an eligible occupation from a registered Saskatchewan employer. Generally, right now, for employers to be eligible to apply under the SINP, they must be at least operating, looking at the comment, but they must be operating for at least 1 year, generally. And so, of course, for this program, they says candidate must meet a minimum Canadian official language proficiency level. They have not disclosed what that is, but I am guessing it's probably going to be around CLB4 because that's the minimum right now for other programs in Saskatchewan. And of course, there is a minimum education and work experience requirement as well, right? Which includes having at least 1 year of work experience in the same occupation. So the occupation that you're applying under, you must have at least 1 year of work experience. Or if the person is in Saskatchewan, at least 6 months work experience in the job in Saskatchewan, right? So that's the information that's been released right now. And we did share with you guys as well some of the occupations that would be eligible. And I'll go to that. There's a long list. We did share it, but just to give an overview. So they had like nurses, aides, and orderlies, home support workers, construction helpers, heavy equipment operators. They had mechanical assemblers, painters, a lot of trades jobs, like skilled trades jobs, as well as shippers and receivers, material handlers, front office clerks, food counter attendants, so like these who work in restaurants, truck drivers, and farm workers. So these are some. That list is obviously not exhausted. We did post it, so check our postings to see the complete listing. And my advice to you guys would be to check out the job sites, right? Most likely, once the employers have the jobs ready under the program, they will have to post the jobs. And for jobs that are local to Saskatchewan, you'll find them on the official government website here in Saskatchewan, which is Sask Jobs. So that's saskjobs.ca. So that's where you would go and start your job search. So it will definitely start with applying to jobs. And if you're considered, then you can also move forward with that, right? And then also you'll find that so there's a small town here called Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw is also a part of what they call the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, and we can touch on that another time. But you'll also find jobs there for Moose Jaw. And these jobs generally will be, so you're not just getting a job offer, but you're getting a job that will be aligned with an immigration program. So you'll be applying for two things. You're applying for a work permit as well as permanent residence, right? Okay, and then the final thing I'm going to touch on today is the recent news release about the new variant, right? So the Omicron variant of COVID-19 and some of the measures that the government of Canada is introducing. So some of you may know, effective immediately, so the government has placed a ban on travel to Canada from persons who have visited and they've released a list of countries, right? So if you have visited any of these countries for the previous 14 days, as a foreign national, you would not be able to travel to Canada at this time. So they have Botswana, Egypt, and some other African countries. I know Nigeria is a part of it, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique, Malawi. So if you are from any of these countries or traveling or have traveled to any of these countries in the past 14 days, they are, as of right now, not allowing anyone to travel to Canada. So, and again, the situation is fluid. They have made some mention as well of having additional border testing at the ports for Canada. We don't know what that looks like right now, but we know that in the past, what they have asked for is testing upon arrival. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to doing that. Right. So that's what's happening right now, where the traveling to Canada is concerned. And we did provide some information as well about the vaccination status of travelers. So they have, like I mentioned before, they have extended the vaccines that will be accepted for travel to Canada. And as of yesterday, they are now requiring everyone. So right now you cannot travel to Canada unless you're vaccinated as of yesterday. So from 12 up, at the age of 12 and upwards, you must be vaccinated in order to travel to Canada. So that became effective yesterday. And that is the case for international travelers as well as travelers within Canada. So you cannot take an airplane within Canada unless you're vaccinated, right? And if you're traveling to certain places in Canada, you have to fly, especially now in the winter. So for example, like we're located in Regina. If we're traveling to Toronto, the flight from Toronto to Saskatchewan is about 3 hours, right? So just imagine trying to drive. It takes days to drive. So right now, that's the case on the ground. The situation, like I said, is constantly changing. So let's see what happens. I saw some questions here. I'm just going to look at a couple of them, and then we'll wrap up. What's the website? So the website is nccanadaimmigration.com. That's the website. So that's where you'd go to find out more. Somebody's asking, how can a Trinidadian do the English exam Canada requires? So as some of you may know, I don't normally recommend doing the exam unless you're absolutely sure that you need to do it. You've identified a program and you're eligible and so on. But if you have to take the English test, not everyone will be required to do that. But if you are, I think it's offered in Trinidad at the University of the West Indies. So that's where you would go to do the test. Is it possible to get fully funded scholarships? If you're looking for fully funded scholarships, they're going to be few and far apart, and you must have had, real stellar performance in terms of your academics, right? And in so doing too, you would have to search the schools that you're applying to. You first have to apply to the schools, and then you can look at the scholarships that they are offering and then apply for those. So that would be my advice where that's concerned. Is Ghana included in the countries? I've not seen Ghana on the list. No, I've not seen Ghana on the list. Yeah, I'm not seeing Ghana, so not at the moment. Um, oh, sorry guys. I keep doing that. All right. Just looking at the questions here. An English test will be required depending on the program, right? So it's based on the program that you're applying to. No, Jamaica is not included on the list of those who cannot travel to Canada right now. If you receive a job offer, do you have to have settlement funds? Generally, no. If you have a job offer, of course, that job offer must be supported by an LMIA. But generally, if you have a job offer, you don't need to provide the settlement funds. If you're applying for jobs through the job bank, do you have to take the English test? If you're applying for a job on the job bank, it will just be meeting the requirements for the specific job. So it depends on what the job requirements are. But generally, employers are not going to ask you to do a language test. Okay, guys, I think that's all I have time for today. Do we need to find a job first? So most programs and most of the main programs that people will migrate to Canada under, they do not require a job offer. So please note that. There are some programs like the one I just mentioned, which is this new pilot program. It is a job based program. So you will need a job offer in order to apply under the program. Like I mentioned, I provided a site where most of these jobs will be posted. So it will just be a matter of you going on this website in particular and then applying and then going from there. But generally, a job offer is not a requirement for applying for permanent residence in Canada from outside. There are a number of different immigration programs, right? Over 80 immigration programs that allow an applicant to come to Canada, to apply to come to Canada. And some of you may know the government has, an immigration levels target. I think for this year, the target in terms of permanent residence candidates was over 400,000, and it's supposed to increase next year. They are set to release a new immigration levels target by early next year, and we kind of get to see for the next 3 years what their goal is. But Canada is definitely driven by immigration, right? So the best thing to do is to first determine what you're eligible for, and then work towards doing all the assessments that are required, and then applying for permanent residence, right? So if you guys want to explore that, and you need support from myself or my team, that's done by way of the intake process that we have, which usually starts off with a consultation. From the consultation, then we look at applying, right? So it's generally consultation, and then we move to the application stage of the process. And then for those who are asking, the consultation information can be found on the website I provided, nccanadaimmigration.com. Or if you guys are joining from Instagram, some of you are, it's on the link in bio. So you'll go there and schedule one. It's completely online. And then the sessions are held online as well over Zoom. Somebody's saying, if you already have a Canadian visitor's visa, what is the best route to work in Canada? A visa allows you to visit Canada, right? So having a visa does not provide you with a pathway to permanent residence. It just allows you to visit Canada. So if you want to work in Canada or apply for permanent residence, then you'd have to look at one of the other programs that, and then determine if you're eligible. Okay, I think Do community college accept you even if your grades aren't high? So you would have to look at the program firstly, identify a program that you want to do, and then look at the admission requirements, and then you see whether you meet that or not. But generally, it's going to be easier to get into a community college, a college, as opposed to a university. The university's standards of for admissions are going to be higher. But if you have, like, you can find programs that require grade 12, high school. There are a few that will ask for grade 10, but those will typically be like skill trades professions or courses. But there are those. If you send us an email, we can help you to get into a program if you want. When you're applying for a work and study, do you recommend taking your family at the same time? It depends. I wouldn't be able to give a blanket answer. It's going to look differently for everyone. All right. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for your questions and for participating. I'll join you guys again next week, God's willing. Have a great rest of your week. And stay tuned. We'll be posting more information about these programs, about the travel updates and so on as they come. So definitely turn on your post notifications so that you can be notified when things are happening, as they always are. All right. So see you guys next week. Have a good rest of your week.